Welcome on into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. He is Daniel Booby Gibson. Today we are fully ingrained into Booby's World. What's going on, man?
Man, I don't even want to leave with that. It's great. I'm in Houston right now, and I was just making sure that you can hear me because I'm outside trying to get some good weather and some good vibes as I try to get into my Zen mode. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be chill today.
For sure. I like it. What's the weather looking like out there in Houston? I feel like you leave, man. It was so crazy before you left. It was raining here in Cleveland. It was windy.
Happens every time.
Beautiful, picturesque day here right now. So what's the
Every time.
weather over by you?
Every time. Every time I leave, I get all these reports about how the weather's gotten better and it's nice now. But I mean, out here, it's hot. I will say that it's hot, but it's nice, man. I'm able to sit outside on the porch. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give y'all some real Houston vibes today. I'm in my Ace time zone today.
I like now you were telling me too that you picked up like a dog before this. Booby a pet owner now?
Listen, man, I got a real I don't know if, I don't know if I'm the dog whisperer. I don't know what exactly it is that attracts these animals to me, but for my whole life, I've always caught like strays as they were puppies though. Like most people like you gotta go look for a breeder and find a dog and but that's never had been my case. I've always just all the dogs I've had for a long time, Nick. I've literally been walking down the street and found them on the street. And this case was no different. I'm home for Memorial Day weekend and I go to the corner store to fill up and it's a dog just sitting outside at like the door and Nick, it's just like this though. I mean
It was
like
hot. It
like
had to been
ribs
hot.
showing. It's Houston, bro, so it's hot. So ribs showing, tongue, Michael Jordan tongue, just out. And so it's not in my heart to just leave that dog there like that. So I actually left, right? I go home and I tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, I just saw this dog. It didn't look like it had much time. Like, what should I do? She like, boy, we don't need no dog at the house. So I'm like, wrong person to ask. So man, I drive back. I go to get some food and I drive back and I'ma just check. And lo and behold, the puppy was still there. So I said, you know what? I gotta get it, man. So I hop out the car, throw him in the car, turn the AC up, drive to the crib, man, get him a bowl. And I mean, I can't, come here, I can't show him. I mean, I can't turn the camera, but he's right here with me right now. I done had him for like 5 days. But one of my best friends stopped by, and I think her son's birthday is this weekend, and she's gonna give him as a gift. So
Look at that. He might have found a new home. Booby
it
Adoption
all works
Agency.
out, man. It
Yeah.
all works out. Come here, Roscoe.
Did you name it? Did you name it yet?
I call him Roscoe, right? Cause I'm a big Martin fan,
Okay.
and on Martin there was like this is gonna sound terrible. There's this homeless. He was like the homeless version of Martin, the homeless kid version of Martin on the show. His name was Roscoe, so I call I call him Roscoe because he was like my little homeless little. I'm like stepdad. He's like he's family now though, Nick.
He's there with you. That's good to know, Booby. All right, we're going to give you guys a packed show today. Obviously, the Cavs season is over. JB Bickerstaff was dismissed from his position as head coach with the Cavaliers. We're going to talk about all of that. We've got some other coaching tidbits as well. Whoa. There he is.
I caught a tail. I caught a tail.
So he's not huge.
Look, Mom. Look, Papa. Look. He's on TV.
Oh, wow.
Look, Papa. You see, there's no way I could pass up this little face, bro. There was no way. See? It's okay.
Aw, he is cute.
See, yeah, that's Roscoe. All right, say bye, Roscoe.
See you, Roscoe. All right, we're going to get you guys some Cavs coaching search tidbits. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs, and we'll wrap up the show. Don't go anywhere. We're getting into some Cavs right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. He is Daniel Booby Gibson. We were also joined by Booby's new dog that he met in Houston, Roscoe, during our last segment. Appreciate him stopping by.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, I actually like this. I like the raw feel that we have right now, where it's just like you just never know what can happen on the show. Right
People
now,
don't know. Booby and I did literally no prep for this show, so what you're getting is Booby's world in its truest form. Freestyle.
freestyle.
Throw us to the wolves. We'll be like Roscoe and we'll find our way, baby. We'll be all right.
Yes, sir. Hey, Roscoe living a good life right now. He done just pulled up on a former NBA
That's
player
what
that
I'm
was looking
saying.
that was looking for a dog. So he done walked into a 2-story crib with he's drinking bottled water now. He has a bed and he's getting spa treatment. You never know what can happen, man, in Booby's world.
He was dehydrated at a corner store just a few
Just
short days
just
ago. Look at
not
him
even a
now.
week ago.
Look at him now. Life is
Look at him
completely
now.
turned around. All right. Let's get into some Cavs stuff here. JB Bickerstaff was dismissed from his head coaching position with our Cleveland
Yeah.
Cavaliers. We know that this decision was not one that was made easily throughout the organization. They took several days after the season ended to come to this decision to dismiss JB Bickerstaff. Booby, what was your first reaction when you heard this news, when you saw it break? What were your immediate thoughts?
Torn, man, torn, right? Because as a Cavs fan, like you know that like the fans want to win, and you like you hear the chatter of okay, there's a potential, right, that he's on the hot seat. But for me personally, he gave me my opportunity as a former Cavalier when I saw him at the NBA Combine, and he was like, "No, we need more former Cavs. We need more Cavalier veterans or mentors to be around these guys." And so he gave me an opportunity to come around and scout and player develop. And so for me, the culture that I felt him creating within the organization, I can't disrespect that. I can't act like I didn't see all of those guys buy into his philosophy of one team, of one more, of defense, of the Cavalier way. So I feel like he did his thing in those 4 years. So I don't want to downplay his accomplishments at all, because every year as a coach you want to get better, right? You want to go play in first round, second round. So he's building. But obviously as an organization, you have to take into account what the goal is overall and bigger picture. And so like, if they felt he's not able to move that needle to where we feel like we a championship team, then things happen. But I just want to say on my end, he really gave me an opportunity to show the Cavaliers that I can be a good scout, that I can be a good coach. So shout out to JB Bickerstaff for just being a great guy overall, and really turning the Cavaliers direction into putting us back into contention, putting us back into the conversation, making us known putting us in a place where we should be. So shout out to JB for that.
Very well said, Booby. And that's really cool too, to hear how you could connect to him on that personal level, because he gave you that opportunity. I see it completely differently, because I was covering the Cavs right before and during the time that JB Bickerstaff was hired in that 2019 season with John Beilein. And that first 50 games that we got out of John Beilein before he was dismissed near the All-Star break was horrible. It was a circus. The players didn't respect him at all. There was no identity of the team. They complained ad nauseum in the locker room, even when media was present, about the long film sessions that Beilein would make them watch and endure and go through.
I heard.
So when JB got hired, it was like a switch flipped. And it was night and day, the buy-in defensively. They became such a fun, overachieving team in a lot of ways, and we saw them overachieve in that season where they made the play-in tournament, then to the first round, then to the second round of the NBA playoffs. So I think that's how I'll always remember JB Bickerstaff's tenure with the Cavaliers. Was he took something that was really, really bad, a team that was was in just a really, really bad, dark space, and he got them to buy in from like day one, and he got them to win because they won under JB Bickerstaff. So it is tough to see them move on from him. He was a great, great, great dude, a really good basketball coach, but now we're in the mode to see what kind of direction they want to go in here as they try to find his replacement.
Yeah, nah, you kind of gave me a nugget with that one. I didn't realize he was on Beeline staff before. I remember sitting in on one of those interviews, bro. They had brought me back in town for like a Cavaliers something, and man, I was sitting in that room. And hold on, I'm outside. A car just drove by, but I'm sitting in that room and I'm just like, man, there's no way I would want to. I don't want to play for this. I don't want to even be in the interview room. I know I wouldn't want to play for him. So yeah, that was I knew that at that moment there was some smoke in the city. I knew something was going on that day. It didn't
Dude,
feel good in that
I
room.
remember telling James Rapine, who was up here working in local radio at the time, and he's now on the Big Play Network, hosts one of our Cincinnati Bengals shows. I remember looking over to him and telling him, dude, I don't know if John Beeline could motivate me to eat a sandwich. You know, like the guy was just so boring, so dry
Right.
in those press conferences. And you could tell he just couldn't relate to such a young team. And that's what JB did phenomenally is he related to that young team. He got them to buy in. He got them to play defense. And that's why I think, Booby, that when you look at some of these openings around the NBA, a team like Washington should hire JB Bickerstaff right now because he is that guy that could come in and create a culture, am I right, and get those young players that the Wizards have to buy in and to turn that thing around.
Thank you for saying that because like there's different like moments where a coach can be most effective, right? You can have a team that is just like rebuilding, and JB is perfect for that opportunity. To your point, he can galvanize a team. He can get guys to buy into a mentality that a city can get behind, right? And so I agree 1,000%. I think any team that takes an opportunity to work to bring JB in gets a guy that will galvanize a city. You know, he had the city behind him here. We just couldn't add the wins to give him, the momentum that he needed to keep his opportunity here. But I think JB's a great coach and an even better person. And I'm looking forward to what we gonna do here now because to get rid of a guy like that who changed your culture and changed your identity, you can't go backwards now. You
Yep.
can't just jump. You can't jump out here and just go hire a name and just you got to find somebody that can take that next step because we in a tough spot. We can go the other way.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you brought that up, Booby, because people don't realize that part of it, right? Like it was easy, kind of an easy decision, I feel like, to get rid of JB Bickerstaff. It wasn't working. Some of the players now, we've got Marcus Morris saying that there was a disconnect in the locker room, and a lot of the players just didn't buy in towards the end of the season to what he was trying to preach. They really thought they were ready to contend for a championship and contend much more than just these small baby steps. So we're starting to understand now why he was let go. However, the next coach that comes into Cleveland needs to be a hit because they did make it to the second round. And like you said, they made it through those progressions of play-in, first round, second round. Now you're looking for that guy that could help you seriously compete for a championship. And that's something that shouldn't be taken lightly.
Don't disrespect the work. Don't disrespect the work. Like we get caught up in the social media microwave affection phase where everything has to happen right away, right? And like these other teams, like your Mike Malones, your Denvers, they allow these coaches to stick around, and then you find one more player that puts you over the hump. So now we're saying maybe it's not a player. We want to add a coach to put us over the hump. So we have to make sure that if that's the decision that we're making, we're taking the time to understand what JB has built and created here. And then we got to find somebody that's able to A, keep the culture moving, but then B, find a way to keep the players, if Marcus is saying that and the guys are saying, and keep the locker room intact as well.
For sure. All righty. Straight ahead on the show, we'll get you guys a list of names that have been floated out there, rumored to be a part of this Cavs hiring process. How much of an influence would or should Donovan Mitchell have in this process? We'll answer all of those questions and more. Don't go anywhere. More Boobies World right after this. Welcome on back into Boobies World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone, joined every week with Daniel Booby Gibson. Make sure to follow the show on all your favorite social media platforms. You do so on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. Just search Boobies World Show. That's the best way to keep in touch with everything that we've got going on the program. We're reacting to the news that JB Bickerstaff dismissed from his position as the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. Booby, president of basketball operations Kobe Altman, met with the media here on Friday, and he said that he wouldn't expect sweeping changes throughout the organization. This came on the heels of The Athletic releasing an article saying that maybe Darius and Donovan can't coexist, maybe Evan and Jared Allen can't coexist. Kobe Altman kind of making it seem like maybe this is the big move. Maybe just the new head coach is the big change this season for the Cavs.
Hey, Nikki P. Unless they hire me as the new GM or the player personnel coach, hey, I don't know. But what I do know is I like the players that we have, and I'm not on the same boat as everybody else about just getting rid of these guys and buying into the narrative of that they don't get along. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watch these guys in practice every day, and they look like they get along to me. So for me, I think, you bring somebody else in, and then to that point, you go out there in the market and you see if there's something that you can add to the team. And does that mean that we lose a player or gain a player in that? We don't know, right? That's up to Kobe and those guys to come up with that decision. But I think we have a core four to build from. Whatever we decide to do with, we have a great core four, a young core four to start with. And so that's, you always know that's my energy. Unless I sign that dotted line for the guy to make decisions, all this is hypothetical for me. And the way I look at it, when I seen all four of those guys on the court together, healthy, they were unbelievable. So hopefully we can try to get that going again. Or if we do decide to go any other direction, I ain't in the mood for rebuilding. I don't want to go watch I ain't trying to watch some guys try to figure it out. We don't need that.
I think you and Cleveland are in agreement on that. So, Booby, answer this for me. What type of coach, in your opinion, is needed to come in here now and take this team to the next level?
Damn. Woo. Hey, Nikki P, I can't even okay. I'm known for freestyling because I would probably out the dome go with a guy like Sam Cassell. I couldn't. You just threw me on the spot in this whole
I wasn't
show.
even really needing like an actual name, but I like that you gave me a name. It could just be like a mindset or a demeanor that they should be looking for, like an ideology. You're good. I got some names for you coming up.
My bad. I jumped the gun. So I guess in saying that name, the idea I have behind it is you have to also check those JB boxes, right? You have to check the boxes that he's created of culture, a guy that the guys respect, a guy that has been there, been through it, been around. So, Sam checks those boxes. And then I think he's primed. He's primed and hungry for an opportunity to show that he's learned under all these big time coaches that he's been being a student of over the years. So I think he's primed. And that's kind of where I came up with it. But I think the type of guy, he has to have an understanding of the youth of the NBA, like the next wave of the NBA. I don't think an old school coach that's going to come in and try to bring in those old school rules is going to work with this young core. But a guy that has a blend, a guy that can blend the young with some of those hardcore Cleveland culture rules. I think that's the type of guy we need. So that's the demeanor piece. But I think Sam checks those boxes.
For sure. And I'm curious to see what route they go with this thing now, Booby, because like there's an argument to be made that with a young team, and this team is still so young, the core four is all still so young, that a young coach makes sense. But with the fact that they're ready to compete and ready to take that next championship level already after making the postseason 3 consecutive years, I wonder if they might turn or be interested in turning to somebody that has been around the block before, maybe a retry head coach. I know that that's something that they typically don't like to do. Remember, I know, you know, like Byron Scott, they hired him only because they couldn't get Tom Izzo away from Michigan State. You know, they like making those big.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened when I was playing?
Yeah, man. They were trying to get Izzo from Michigan State, and they ended up getting Byron Scott.
Damn. So I had to go through them training camps because they missed out on Izzo, huh? Hey, Nikki P. Them was some of the most torturous training camps you could ever think of, but it took some years off my NBA career. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Man, they were like that intense.
Man, listen, it's like I ain't never been to the military or the Marine Corps or the Navy, but it had to be some similarities, bro. Because there's after being in the NBA for so many years, there's no way that his workout regimen was that different. This the Pat Riley method we talking about. We would come in. I'm gonna give you a little glimpse, right? We ain't on the booby fantasy ride, but I'm gonna give you a little glimpse. We come in the first 20 minutes, Nick. We run around. We running around the jump here, right? You slide. You run the end of the baseline. You get to the end of the court. You slide here, left, right. Now you backpedaling back. Objective. If your arms drop below here, we add minutes to the clock. Right?
No basketball, I'm sure, even to be seen. Basketball is still in the bags. Basketball's still on the racks.
He ain't pulling no basketballs out, nigga. We ain't even seeing. We soccer at this point. We don't even know that we a basketball team. And then lastly, it's like the Indian. What's the when you running on the track and the person passes you up? What's it? The Indy, some kind of rule for. You know what it is? I don't know what.
The Indian run?
Indian run. You're doing the Indian run at the same time. So a guy has to pass everybody, and the guy in front of you can't pass you, or there's more time too. So what I mean by that's what you start. That's the warm up. So B Scott, man, shout out to B Scott. I love him to death because I had my highest PPG with him. But he for sure took some years off my career at the same time.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see which route they go. You know, do they go for somebody like that, you know, that's kind of been around the block, or do they go somebody that's a little bit more probably analytically driven, you know, looking at the X's and O's of how they make this offense run? Like that's kind of what I'm curious, which direction they go. I do want to also ask you this. If you are Donovan Mitchell, do you want to have a say in this process? Because sometimes we've seen the superstar players be a little bit hands-on, but then at other times we've seen them kind of distance themselves from the process, not really wanting to take the blame or take the praise one way or another for how a guy gets brought in, how he's perceived, that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously publicly, I wouldn't want everybody to know I had anything to do with it, but but privately, if I was planning on being around, and this is obviously subjected to my thoughts, I'm not him. But I would, if I knew that if I was gonna be back with a ball club, I would at least want to know, like, what we were thinking, what they were thinking about, and what the guys were bringing in, like, what their mentality was, like, what were their goals with the team? Was it pace? Was it tempo? Was it, you know, what was their objective? Because I think that would also kind of tell me if that was the place I wanted to be. If I'm being 100%, that's how I would look at it.
For sure. All righty. We're going to step aside. We're going to get you a list of candidates that the Cavs could be considering as they look to replace JB Bickerstaff. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. He is Daniel Booby Gibson, joining me live from Houston, Texas. All right, on the heels of the Cavs dismissing head coach JB Bickerstaff, there are 6 known candidates that the Cavs will be interested in. First, right off rip, we heard of the 2 retries. These were the 2 names that were floated right away, immediately, once the news was announced that JB wouldn't be returning to the Cavs. We have Kenny Atkinson, lead assistant with the Golden State Warriors, as well as James Borrego, who's currently with the New Orleans Pelicans, I believe. Any knowledge, any insight one way or another on those names?
Nah, the deepest insight I got is that I feel like I hear both those names with every
Every
job that
opening, yeah.
every job that comes up in the NBA. So clearly, the NBA world or the social media world knows that when the Warriors was doing good, Kenny Atkinson was on that job, and then the fact that the Pelicans have been doing well of late, they got the other guy. So I don't know too much about those two. What my 2 cents is, damn, I wish Jordy Fernandez wouldn't have been taken off the shelf so soon, because he'd be great for this opportunity.
All right, we'll keep the list going. We got David Adelman. We got Alex Jensen. We got Micah Nori, who is currently the stand-in coach, kind of serving as active game coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves, which has interested a lot of fans, as well as Dave Georgia.
Georgia was the guy that was here at the beginning of the year for a little bit with us before he went out there with Doc to lose some more with Milwaukee. Yeah. Hey, listen, we in Booby's world, right? All those names you just named. Look, it's a couple restaurants out here I'm thinking about going to and having some dinner tonight. I feel like I'd rather pick a dinner restaurant tonight than choose from that list you just got.
Well, let's talk about it. What are we thinking for dinner tonight?
Yeah,
I'll tell you my plans after you tell me yours.
If you out there, I need you to go to Parlay on 9th. We're gonna have a special over there with the chicken and waffles, just for you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
With a nice little drizzle for you, whatever you want.
I like
but
that.
Out here, man, you know, I'm thinking steak 48. You know, I don't know if you know nothing about that. Out there, that would probably be similar to like Marble Room.
All right.
Yeah. Cause I didn't. When you said those names, I didn't know a name on the list.
All right, I definitely like Marble Room. I'm going to. You ever have some Korean barbecue?
Hey, damn! Shout out to my ex, man. I didn't even want to say it like that, but she took me on my first time ever. Our first date was at Korean barbecue. That's where you make it yourself on the thing.
Yeah, like on the little grill.
Yeah.
They bring out.
Shout out to Sin, man. She took me to the Korean barbecue on our first date.
Yeah. Was it Cleveland Korean barbecue? Because like there are some decent Korean barbecue spots in Cleveland, but you kind of got to get outside of Cleveland to get some really good Korean barbecue.
Yeah, we was in LA.
Okay, yeah. I bet out there it hits different for sure. All right, so yeah, we're talking about these candidates. Like I said, the 6 known names that are kind of out there, the Atkinsons and the Borregos that have been linked to every job. None of those are really moving the needle for really anybody that much, and I feel like that's probably why they're kind of available, Boo-Boo, right? So that plays into this whole conversation that we're having of this is not going to be an easy job to fill because JB was so loved and he won a lot of games here with the Cavs.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's what I was about to say. I just realized that in not being able to jump on board with any of those names, like that just shows you that JB handled his business here. Obviously, sometimes you lose your position, and for whatever reason, but that don't mean that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, that you didn't max out on your capabilities and what you do. So again, shout out, man, to JB, man. I hate seeing, because if we really want to get into it, I hate seeing coaches sometimes get the boot for the players. Like, if y'all don't win, it ain't always the coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to the Phoenix Suns. It ain't always the coach that that did it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Suns are an example. They're on their third head coach in 3 seasons. So,
Come
I
on
mean,
now.
proof kind of in the pudding there. Another name that I want to throw into the mix here that hasn't been, I guess, like formally rumored or leaked to the Cavs is Johnny Bryant. I don't know how much you know about him, Booby. He worked with Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz as an assistant during Donovan's time in Utah, and he's since served as the lead assistant with the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. So I think that pre-existing relationship with Donovan could be a big deal, and I think could be maybe something that could lean him into staying. And also, too, I mean, he's a fast riser. He's a young dude. I think he's just like 38 years old. So I think he'd be an interesting candidate to kind of throw into that mix.
Yeah. I like the facts. I like everything you threw out there. I would have to do a little bit more research before you jump on. I mean, before I jump on board, I've become a die-hard Cleveland Cavalier fan, so I got to know what's going on before I'm fully invested into. But that name sounds good. What you said about the former relationships and like where he is, the age. Um, so that means like he's bringing culture. He can connect, and so yeah, I agree.
All right, let's step aside. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. All right, we talked a lot of Cavs. We gave you guys some projected coaches. Another guy, Booby, that's name has been floated in other circles, hasn't been connected yet to the Cavs. I kind of have a feeling I know what you're going to say. JJ Redick. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be an aggressive move. It would be a risky move, but the payoff could be huge. Are you sleeping on it? What's going on here? Oh, you muted yourself, I think.
I had fell asleep and I muted my mic because I love JJ Redick. He bust our ass at the University of Duke, and he gave us like 50. So this is not personal at all. But I need a little bit more before. I need a little bit more than a few breakdowns on social media before I jump on board and feel like a guy can be able to command a huddle in the middle of a big time game against another big time opponent with the best player of the world breathing down his neck that could potentially draw the play up himself.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. Or I mean, that's the Lakers experience. But even with us, Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys. Like, I feel like you might need a little bit more. I think one example of what I'm talking about is Steve Nash, right? Former MVP. You would think that he know the game better than anybody that could slice it up the way that he was putting people together on the floor. But when it came to him being able to command that locker room or get 3 superstars to listen in the huddle and make all of them accountable, it's not as easy as guys think it is. It takes a little bit of practice. It takes a little bit of being around that energy, not from a player's perspective, but as a coach. Even me being on the coaching side, there's moments where I'll be like, just listen to what I'm saying and just do it. But you can't do it that way. You gotta coach them into doing it that way. So I don't know. Maybe he is. Again, there's guys that have came in and got it popping, but I don't know if right away, in my opinion, he's ready for it. He's ready to jump in that fire, especially here.
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's totally tough. And on a team that's ready to compete, it becomes even more difficult. And we've seen some of the ex-players, right? Like Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, how you said it takes maybe their second or third try becoming a head coach until they really get it,
Right.
for them to really get everything to click. And what we're talking about right now is Booby doesn't want to see a rebuild. I don't want to see a rebuild. The Cavs fans don't want to see a rebuild. And seriously, I don't think Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman are ready to rebuild this thing because they got young guys in the prime of their career. They've got a young superstar in Donovan Mitchell. They're not going to try to putz around here. I do think JJ Redick is the link, is the route that they could go if the LeBron James thing is at all real. You know, if him showing up, if there's even just a speckle of interest in drafting Bronny and trying to bring Bron home, I think Redick is the route that you could go that in that direction. But I think like in the
I
more
hear you.
realistic realm, they got to probably look somewhere else.
No, I hear you. I hear you in that piece. I hear you in that piece only because you're getting a LeBron James that's obviously at that point understanding what he is in his career, not as like whatever I say goes, you know what I mean? And would be a little bit more understanding in that and still demanding, but more understanding in that type of situation. So an exception to the rule, I feel like would be in a situation as such. But I still would feel like it would be a tall task to come in first year with the greatest player of all time as as the guy that you were trying to coach up.
Yeah, for sure. It would really feel like in a world that happened, and not saying that it's going to happen, not even saying that they're going to bring him in for an interview, but in a world where that happened, it would almost feel like LeBron would be taking on sort of like a player coach type of role. And I know people have said that for years, you know, the lay GM and the, you know, that LeBron's really the coach, but it really would feel like a 40-year-old LeBron James with a rookie JJ Redick as head coach would kind of feel like that kind of like dual player coachmanship that just we something like we've never seen before, which it's crazy to think about, but kind of something that's really far out there in terms of things that could actually happen.
Yeah, nah, that's when you were saying it, that made my antennas go up. Like, okay, LeBron at that age, he might like being able to have some control over play calls and schemes as far as the team goes. But this summer is gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting to see where the chips fall, where the dominoes fall. It always takes that one guy to go to one team that makes everybody react to that move. So that's what I'm most excited about. Like, what's gonna be that domino that sends the NBA into its next move?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that, Boo? Because it feels like there's a lot of dominoes league wide that could happen, you know, and
Yeah.
none of this can happen until after the NBA Finals, which is important to note. But it feels like for Cleveland, at least in my opinion, the next domino is Donovan Mitchell making his decision. Is he going to sign that contract after the finals conclude? You know, that max deal to keep him in Cleveland. League wide, though, what are some other dominoes that fans should be looking out for? Guys that could be on the move.
Obviously, yeah, the Donovan Mitchell is a domino, but in my opinion, you got the Brandon Ingram domino that I've been hearing float around the NBA. You got the DeMar DeRozan Levine domino that I feel floats around. Clay Thompson domino. Um, yeah, Paul George. All
Man,
five of the all five of those guys, I feel like are in my opinion, when I try to compare it to something, could have that Aaron Gordon effect, right? A guy that you bring onto your roster, you're like right there uh, of making it to the finals, and then that piece puts you over the hump. Because right now the NBA, man, it is wide open. We got 4 teams. We're gonna have a first champion this year. We got 4 teams that ain't never been there before. So that should tell the rest of the NBA, if you get your um, ish together, including us, we could be standing on that podium in the next couple of years. So I probably would say my favorite out of that list, I always say his name, Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram is a guy that, with the right team, could take them to a whole totally different level.
and I think, Booby, we're going to see teams this offseason be aggressive. And the Cavs have been aggressive, like getting Jared Allen, aggressive move, getting Donovan Mitchell, super aggressive move. I think we're going to see some teams kind of try to play catch up, try to really race the Cavs to make those aggressive swings with those guys being available, like a Brandon Ingram, just because the league does feel wide open. We're going to have a first-time champion. I also think it benefits the Cavs because pending free agents, pending coaches that could be between a couple different jobs are going to look at Cleveland and say, hey, this is a team with a solid, young core four. This is a city that's ready to win right now, and it's an organization that'll spend money in a weak Eastern Conference. I don't know, Booby. I think the Cavs are still in a really good spot. You never want to fire your coach, but I think everything's going to be all right.
Right. I'll leave with that. Like JB's my guy, so I for sure wanted to give him as many chances as he could because I do feel like he could make it happen. But overall, yeah, we're in a good spot. If we make the right moves and put the right pieces together, we have a strong core forward, to your point, that could take us to the next level. With the right guy or the right move, we could be right where we want to be real soon.
We got a couple more minutes with Booby. Don't go anywhere. Last segment coming up. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. We're wrapping up the show. We got 5 more minutes with Booby, and we would be remiss if we didn't get into some of the other basketball conversations that are going on league-wide. Booby, we got the Celtics right now in commanding lead of the Eastern Conference. The C's seem primed to represent our Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. It seems like it was a cakewalk almost in a lot of ways because they have not really been like seriously tested in many of these series, and they're still without Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, no, I feel like we knew beginning of the year, Boston was the top team in the East. And what Indiana did in that last minute of the first game, that right there said, we'll see Boston in the finals. I think everybody, like, they took my heart. They took everybody that was rooting. We were rooting for you. And they just sold everybody's heart when they started turning the ball over, shooting bad shots. But that's what young teams do. Shout out to them for getting to that point. But, yeah, Boston is head and shoulders above the rest. And easy call for them boys to be in the finals this year.
And then in the Western Conference, Booby, Kyrie Irving, Luka, the Mavs.
Hey, Ryan, make sure, listen, I ain't going to keep on saying this on the show. When I say rewind the tape, I need, at some point, y'all got to rewind the tape because I told y'all that the Mavs was going to be a dark horse after those trades and that Kyrie Irving is must-see Kyrie. Stop playing with me.
Yeah, the Mavs are really good. And what's crazy is to this point, to the Western Conference Finals, they didn't need to get a whole lot out of Kyrie, the scorer. They had a lot out of Kyrie, the playmaker, but it was really Luka, Washington, the rest of the Mavericks getting the job done. Now in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, we see completely new team where they were really just dependent on those two superstars, Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie scored the ball way more in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. So, hey, I think that'll be a great series. I think the T-Wolves still have a shot. Good young team themselves out there. But, yeah, like you said, Kyrie ridiculous come playoff time, come conference final time is a whole new player.
Yeah, must see Kyrie, man. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is now the Timberwolves are on notice. So now those others that we felt like didn't show up in game 1 will have every opportunity they want in game 2, i.e. LeBron James game 5, Boobie Gibson game 6. You know how that goes, man. The stars show up when they need to, and then the rest of the guys, it's going to be up to them in game 2 because Luka and Kyrie is gonna get all the attention they want next game.
Yeah, they are. That's one thing that is for sure. Booby, you tell me, man, what's on tap? What's the week look like for you? Are you coming back to Cleveland anytime soon? What's on the agenda out there in Booby's world?
Listen, man, I'll be back in Cleveland next week to close on our new restaurant, Parlay on 9th. You know what I mean? That's exclusive here in Booby's world. And then, man, obviously I'll be out here in Houston, hanging out with the fam, man, and just enjoying life, enjoying this good summer, and putting some more content together for you guys out there in Booby World, man. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Last bit, Anta with Kyrie Irving, Shooters U. We're gonna be pairing up for the summertime. So all this Kyrie love I've been giving my boy, listen, it all worked out, man. We're gonna partner up, and now all the kids across the world can get the Kyrie kicks. They got everything from Anta is going to be partnering up with Shooters U moving forward. So shout out to the gang.
Look at that, man. It's Kyrie and Booby reunited in a way. Not the way that I thought, but Kyrie and Booby kind of back here in Cleveland one more time.
Yeah, man. I gotta make sure because I feel like my guy should get his number retired in that building. So I got to make sure that that city of Cleveland remembers that shot and remembers that he's probably the best point guard to ever step foot in that arena. And I'm going to make sure that the world knows.
Yeah, I saw an interesting tweet, and we could leave the show with this. Tweet at us at Boobies World Show. Name a point guard in NBA history. 2 point guards, if you could. More completely skilled than Kyrie Irving. We'll leave things there for Daniel Boobie Gibson. I'm Nick Padone, and we will see you guys back here in Boobies World next week.